Good evening. We now call this council meeting to order. We ask that if you have a cell phone, if you'd be so kind at this time to put it on silent, off for me this time. If you choose to address mayor and council this evening, we ask that you would sign the sign-in sheet, your name and your address, please. That is located at the podium over here. At this time, we'll be led in prayer by Madam Clerk, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk.
O God of might, wisdom and justice, through whom authority is rightly administered, laws enacted and judgment decreed, assist us, we beseech thee, that this city council may be conducted in righteousness and be eminently useful to thy people over whom we preside. Amen. Amen. I take allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams. Here. Morgan.
Present.
West. Present. Roots.
Present.
Mayor Kirkland.
Present. Move for the approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk.
Councilors Williams. Yes. Morgan.
Yes.
West. Yes. Roots.
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes. This time we open up the microphone for public comments on agenda items only. If you have public comment, we ask that you would state your name, your address, and your public comment on the agenda items only.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Name, Olivia Smith, address 930 East 18th Street. Just a question for your number 2 resolution. It says approval for change of a job title. What job title are you changing?
We're changing the title to fit our city code. It was Chief Operating Officer to Chief of Staff.
Okay, you're changing from Chief Operating Officer to Chief of Staff?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Celine Mayfield, 2020 West Front Street. I have a question on the expenditure list. One of the items that I noticed was that there was a Eagles celebration, and the residents are going to have to pay for it. Like
No.
$288.82. It's on the expenditure list. That's why I brought it up.
No, it's not. I was waiting for you to be complete.
Okay, I'm done.
Okay. So yes, we had a employee morale celebration for Eagle celebration for the Super Bowl. No, we had sponsorship funding from local businesses for that. Many of our events that we have are many of the recreational events that we've had in 2023 has been funded through some sponsorships that we received. So no, that is not taxpayer money.
Does the sponsorship money go into the general fund? Because it
No.
says it's coming out of
No, it does not. It says it's coming out of a special. It's a general pool that's just there. It's a special revenue fund. We have a special fund that is restricted funded money that we receive from any local businesses or for anything for grants. Now, grants doesn't go into special revenue, but we have separate funds for those things, so it's not general fund revenue.
Well, it should be noted on the expenditure report where it's coming from. But for a city that's broke, that don't look really good.
Again, it didn't come from the city's general fund.
And we like taking care of our employees. Anybody else? Madam Clerk.
Resolution. Whereas the following individuals have requested a handicap parking zone. Number 1, Charlie Fernandez, 136 East 18th Street, Chester, PA, 19013. And number 2, Bonnie L. Tucker, 215 Hayes Street, Chester, PA, 19013. Whereas, after a thorough investigation by the Department of Public Works, it has been determined the aforementioned individuals have met all of the required criteria and have a need for said handicap parking zone. Now therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the proper city officials to install a handicap parking zone in the 100 block of East 18th Street and in the 200 block of Hayes Street in the City of Chester.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. Whereas, effective August 15th, 2022, Chester City Council hired Leonard Leitner as the Chief Operating Officer. And whereas, to accurately reflect the actual duties of Mr. Leitner, it is necessary to change his job title. And whereas, the City of Chester has an open Chief of Staff position, which is a better representation of the current duties of Mr. Leitner. Now therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby authorize the proper city official to change the current job title for Leonard Leitner from Chief Operating Officer to Chief of Staff, effective immediately. Further, all other terms and conditions of his employment will remain the same.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester passed Resolution 23-2023 on February 8, 2023, which shall be amended to read as follows. Whereas the City of Chester has designated Santander Bank, N.A. as its depository of funds, and the bank requires a resolution approved by the Council of the City of Chester to make changes to position titles and personnel authorized to sign on city accounts. And whereas Chester City Council has elected to change the authorized signers that act on behalf of the City of Chester in accordance with the terms and conditions as detailed in the bank's universal resolution. Now therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby designate the following individuals as authorized signers. Leonard Leitner, Chief of Staff. Arlene R. Gathers, Deputy Chief Financial Officer, CFO. Michael Hurst, Accountant. Eleanor F. Bolson, Treasurer. Further, that it does authorize the proper city official to provide this resolution, the signed universal resolution, and bank signature card to the bank for and on behalf of the City of Chester. Further, this resolution supersedes any other resolution addressing the subject matter discussed herein.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby reappoint Darrell Jones as a member of the Chester Economic Development Authority, term to expire December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby reappoint Francis G. Whittington as a member of the Chester Economic Development Authority, term to expire December 31st, 2027.
So moved.
I second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby appoint Amanda Johnson as a member of the Chester Economic Development Authority to fill the expired term of Desmond Irving, term to expire December 31st, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby reappoint Joan Neal as member of the Chester Redevelopment Authority Board, term to expire December 31st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does hereby reappoint Janelle Brown as member of the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Chester Board, term to expire December 31st, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Yes.
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that the receiver has authorized the proper city official to prepare specifications for the advertisement for request for proposal, RFP, for parking design, implementation, and management services for the City of Chester. Further, that it does authorize the designated city official to advertise for the aforementioned RFP and accept bids in consultation with the receiver.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Yes.
Mayor, I would like to know if all 900 parking spaces that's on Widener University campus is included in this RFP.
Mr. Solicitor?
The RFP indicates the entire city, but there is currently a parking agreement with Widener.
Does that include all parking in the city of Chester, Pennsylvania? All parking spaces.
We read the resolution. Request for proposals for parking design, implementation, and management services for the city of Chester. That's what it includes.
Does that encompass the university?
Uh, Without having the agreement in front of me, I believe that the agreement addresses the university property separate from this, but this does appear to, this resolution encompasses the entire city, but I don't have that parking agreement in front of me.
Thank you.
I just would like my residents to know that you need to look into it. Citizens in Chester, residents in Chester should not be denied their rights. And other people that own property here not gonna buy what we have to do. So I really, really need the citizens of Chester to look into that. Thank you.
Any more questions? She said she wants the citizens of Chester to really look into that situation. Parking and Widener. Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams?
No. Abstain. I abstain.
Speak up, Councilwoman.
Hmm.
What'd you say?
Abstain.
Morgan?
I'm making a comment with my response. I'm supportive of the city of Chester having parking management here in the city of Chester. I am. Residential parking here in the business district. I believe we need it. There are many, many vehicles to one household. When we see it down here as we're trying to evolve our business district. What I am not supportive of the city of Chester, isolating the Widener University and excluding them from having parking meters around our university, when we believe that we should have parking meters. Well, I believe we should have parking meters around the university, and I'm sure we'll have them. Well, the thought is that we will have them in our downtown business district area, and also be tasked with having residential parking in specific areas in Chester. So, I'm going to say no, not because I agree that we need parking management here in the city of Chester, but I believe that Widener University should not be isolated from that RFP. So no.
West,
I agree with Councilman Morgan. I never felt that Widener should be excluded from the parking requirements. So no.
Ruth,
Well, since we're giving comments, this resolution is for an RFP. First thing it says here is parking design. That's what didn't happen with our last management services, as I understand it. So what happens first with this resolution is a study of the city to see where parking services need to go. So with any study, once the study is complete, all of you in the room and everybody viewing will have an opportunity to review that study and give your comments. So to Councilman Morgan's point, there are some areas in the city that residential parking is challenging. That needs to be studied. The entire city needs to be studied if we're going to bring parking management back. So I'm totally in favor of having a study to determine how we're going to move forward with parking in our city. So yes.
Mayor Kirkland.
Let me just correct my councilman. It's not true. We had a design, we had a study done here in the city of Chester concerning our parking. All that was done in the past. My biggest issue with this now is that we have modified other things along with our receiver. And by being in receivership, I would hope that we could have modified the parking situation here in the city of Chester. Every day I look out this window, we have a giant parking lot and no people, because those persons are parking their cars, catching the train to Philadelphia, leaving their cars downtown Chester all day long. They come back from Philadelphia, they get in their cars, and they go home. Also, the judge has a ruling, that's put in place a ruling concerning contracts and the signing of contracts pertaining to myself and the receiver. There's a contract that was signed with Widener University that was not signed by me. And the judge has placed those contracts under my authority. No. My vote is no.
Resolution. Whereas the city of Chester, Delaware County, Pennsylvania, is most vulnerable to natural and human-made hazards, which may result in loss of life and property, economic hardship, and threats to public health and safety. And whereas Section 322 of the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000 requires state and local governments to develop and submit for approval to the President a mitigation plan that outlines processes for identifying their respective natural hazards, risks, and vulnerabilities. And whereas the city of Chester acknowledged the requirements of Section 322 of DMA 2000 to have an approved hazard mitigation plan as a prerequisite to receiving post-disaster hazard mitigation grant program funds. And whereas the Delaware County Hazard Mitigation Plan has been developed by the Delaware County Planning Department and the Delaware County Department of Emergency Services in cooperation with other county departments and officials and citizens of City of Chester. And whereas a public involvement process consistent with the requirements of DMA 2000 was conducted to develop the Delaware County Hazard Mitigation Plan. And whereas the Delaware County Hazard Mitigation Plan recommends mitigation activities that will reduce losses to life and property affected by both natural and human-made hazards that face the county and its municipal governments. Now therefore, the Council of the City of Chester does resolve. The Delaware County 2023 Hazard Mitigation Plan is hereby adopted as the official hazard mitigation plan of the City of Chester, and the respective officials and agencies identified in the implementation strategy of the Delaware County 2023 Hazard Mitigation Plan are hereby directed to implement the recommended activities assigned to them.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West?
Yes.
Roots?
Yes.
Mayor Kirkland?
Yes.
Resolution. Whereas the City of Chester hired Judy Richards for the full-time Deputy Director of Inspectors, License and Inspections, effective March 23rd, 2023, for 37.5 hours per week with no benefits and a 60-day probationary period. And whereas said employment is contingent upon said individual successfully completing 60 days probation from the date of hire, and whereas the city is required by law to offer said employee medical benefits after 60 consecutive days of employment, which is completed on May 22nd, 2023. And now therefore the Council of the City of Chester does resolve. Further, if said employee fails to meet the job expectations within the 60 days probation, said employee will no longer be eligible for the position and will be subject to termination from said position.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, and our community members. I cannot move on this resolution.
So moved.
Excuse me, Councilman.
I wasn't finished with my comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I cannot move on this, and I'll explain to you why. First of all, there have been comments made by the receivers team and others that the people who work here in City Hall are not competent and not able to hold or fulfill or fill meaningful jobs here at City Hall. I have a problem with this particular applicant because she was supposed to work in Councilman Roots's department, the Department of Public Safety. And Councilman Roots, I don't know how she got an offer because Councilman Roots never interviewed her. He wasn't at the first interview, he wasn't at the second interview, and then our Councilman Morgan was not able to get in on the interview when he tried to get in. And I think that at least those two persons should have been there to interview this person. We, the members of council, really do not know that much about her. She's from Allentown. So, a lot of our jobs that I see going out from the receiver and members of, from the team is for people outside of our city. And on our applications, we say that we would like for the applicants to be from the city of Chester. Okay. I know there's something that says that if you cannot, if we can't find anyone in Chester to fulfill the job who's qualified to hold that job, then we can go to the outside and look. And it's my understanding that it was well advertised and what have you. And we had 4 applicants from Chester who applied and 1 from Allentown. There were, my understanding that there were 2 applicants that were qualified for the position. But the offer was made to the person from Allentown. And I don't believe anyone from the city of Chester has met her, or I don't know. I don't know who Judy Richards is, not by name. And then the salary is set at $80,000. So someone had mentioned about, a waste of money. And it's not, I'm not saying that the position is a waste of money, but I think $80,000 is a lot of money. And especially when our code enforcer is only making 74,000. So there's, the salaries don't add up. They don't match up. So I'm not for this. We need to have further discussion. And so I'm not moving it forward.
So moved.
Is there a second? There's having no second, this resolution is tabled.
Well, I'll make a comment. I would like to table this resolution. I believe that the councilman, well, I'm not sure what he believes, but I think that the councilman within the department, this is a very important role for the city of Chester, with a new project and program that we're looking to implement. Of course, I would like for a city resident or someone that I know, and I'm not saying this person will not, but someone that I know that's going to be invested here in the city of Chester and has our best interest to be in this role. So I most certainly would like to table it for deeper discussion with members of council and/or hopefully for the department of that, the director of that department, to have the discussion and conversation with that individual as well, that candidate as well.
Thank you, Councilman. The resolution has been tabled. Madam Clerk?
Resolution. The Council of the City of Chester does resolve that it does approve and order payment of a series of bills and refunds as prepared by the Department of Accounts and Finance and is shown on expenditure approval list dated February 20, 2023 through February 24th, 2023, attached hereto and made a part hereof, subject to approval from the Department of Accounts and Finance.
So moved.
Second.
Are there any questions?
Comments. So if you are aware, if you've been listening over the last 2 council meetings, there has been some conversation about the expenditure list. And Councilman Roots, I guess over the last 2 or 3 weeks, provided an email with some questions. And just last week with this most recent expenditure list that was provided last Wednesday or Thursday, he asked for details of the particular payments that we've made. Just so you all are aware, we sent in, I'm saying we, but I added detail to all of his questions, and members of mayor and council reviewed and/or went through. Well, we didn't go through, but we reviewed the expenditure list on Monday. I answered. If I didn't answer all of the questions, I might have answered 99% of them. In particular, just to give you an idea, there was a question asking about what was purchased for Office Basics. And in my email or my message, I replied many items might have been purchased, such as supplies for the city of Chester, paper, pens, paper clips, office supplies. But to get specific detail, the councilman would need to either speak to the department, speak with accounts payable, to be able to pull that actual invoice from Office Basics. Other than that, and similar to a vehicle a vehicle repair and maintenance. He asked what was repaired. Again, it's vehicle repair and maintenance, but for specifics of that invoice, we can most certainly can sit down and or obtain that invoice so that you can know exactly what was paid. So I just wanted to voice that out before Madam Clerk asks for our yays or nays. What I always say to everyone is that for me, I think others may feel this way. I don't care if a member of council, a voting member, says yes, no, or abstain. What I care about is you use your voice. So if there's something that you have questions on, concerns with, and not agreeing on, that's fine. We can agree to disagree, but use your voice so that we can find out how we can come to some accord on the same path if necessary. And I hope that I was able to do that with providing some clarity on some of the questioning that was asked of some of these invoices. So with that, are you? Thank you, Council. Madam Clerk?
Councilors Williams? Yes. Morgan?
Yes.
West? Yes. Ruth?
No.
Mayor Kirkland?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time we have a presentation concerning our COVID-19 update. Ms. Carter?
Yes. Good evening, Honorable Thaddeus Kirkland, as well as fellow council members, as well as citizens of the city of Chester. I stand before you to give you the COVID report for March 8th, 2023. The Pennsylvania Department of Health reported 60 positive COVID-19 cases in Chester since the last council meeting on February 22nd, which means that it's averaged out to about 30 positive tests a week. Research experts believe the number of positive cases is undercounted due to at-home testing and residents who may have mild symptoms that do not get tested. I encourage people not only to do the home testing, you may want to consider getting a PCR test, which means that you'll go to the doctor or you go to the clinic, wherever that test is being given, and it goes out to a lab. So that test is more accurate. The CDC states that people in Delaware County may choose to mask anytime due to medium levels of COVID-19 transmission. You can go to vaccine.gov for the most up-to-date appointment availability for vaccines and boosters. Also, the city will host their first annual Women's Health Conference this Saturday, March 11th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Widener University Latham Hall. The keynote speaker will be the renowned radio personality, author, and stroke survivor Patty Jackson. We encourage everyone also to consider getting their vaccine and booster shot if you haven't already had it. The health department is partnering with Woodland Pharmacy and the Black Equity Coalition to sponsor a vaccine and booster flu and shingle shot clinic on March 22nd from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Chester City Hall in the computer room, and you don't need an appointment. Finally, Chester City offers free blood pressure screenings every Wednesday provided by Widener University nursing students from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the lobby. I'd just like to say about our first annual women's conference, health conference. You know, we have a lot of health disparities in the city of Chester. And I've always been a believer if you don't have healthy people, you can't have a healthy economy. So I'm saying, you know, we have received over 100 and almost 170 people planning to attend this conference. So we're hoping to empower people. We're hoping that people will share this information to others so that people will take care of themselves and understand the importance of health in the city of Chester. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Miss Rosetta, don't go away yet.
Go ahead.
I came down to The last clinic we had
Mhm.
was well attended.
Mhm.
Got my shingles shot.
That's right.
I appreciate that. I have a friend who just had a new baby,
Okay.
and I want to bring a gift to his house. And the first question he asked me was, "Do I have the shot for?" And it was a bunch of letters. I don't know, but I think it had something to do with tuberculosis. Is there another shot out there that we might?
Or the vaccine,
It's not vaccine related, but
a
TB
TB
shots.
shot. Okay, but
Yeah.
what happens is that the pharmacist provides all the shots, right? Whether it's shingles, whether it's the flu, or the vaccine shots. Okay. If we get a request for someone from a resident saying that they would like to get a TB shot, the only thing I have to do is just call her. So when she comes to the clinic, she'll have that. And so that person can get that shot at that
All
time.
right, that's good information. Thanks.
Okay? And thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Hope I got this right. Is this Miss Waits?
Good evening, Mayor,
Good evening.
council members, and residents.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm sure, unfortunately, everyone is aware of the devastating Norfolk Southern train derailment that happened in Palestine, Ohio. After this horrific derailment, there were several others that followed within weeks. These same Norfolk Southern trains traveled through Chester City, Pennsylvania.
Miss Waits. Miss Waits. Pull that microphone just a little closer to you.
These same Norfolk Southern trains travel through Chester City, PA. My question to the leadership, for all the residents of Chester City, are you being proactive and working on ways to protect us, such as maybe setting up robocalls for when there is an emergency, or on any of the rails in our community? And would you supply or suggest emergency survival kits for each household, et cetera, et cetera? And then I noticed on the agenda, you have a Delaware County hazard mitigation plan. Would this be included in that?
Let me say, and I thought I saw Commissioner here. Come on.
So he's
Can you
here.
speak to the mic?
Because he can talk about emergency peace. But when I first read that, I was devastated, okay, because the people in Ohio has really been going through some things. And I did, talk to Mr. Leitner. I asked Mr. Leitner whether or not that we have an updated emergency plan. So Mr. Leitner said he was going to look into it and see whether or not, and then he also said that Commissioner Rigby, who is over our emergency department, will also be looking into that as well. So he's here now, so I'll let him talk. But it did come up in our CEP, a Chester Environmental Partnership, and I think one of the things that they're doing, they are looking into the trains that are also coming through the city of Chester as well, if I'm correct. Yes. Okay, thank you.
As the commissioner comes, I wanted to applaud him because of the work that he does with our emergency plan. And not only with our emergency plan, but he works very closely with Delaware County. He's one of the lead persons. We happen to have one of the lead persons here in the city when it comes to, in the county, when it comes to emergency plans. So I'm going to let the commissioners.
So I apologize if I missed some of your comments. I stepped out for a moment. But speaking of the rail situation, we do have three rail systems that come through the city. We are actively always training with them and their resources being Conrail. Uh, yeah, so speaking on that, we had a meeting, a public safety meeting with the county in the last week, and we are scheduling some training. We're going to be working together with some of the rail companies to bring more training out to our first responders. But
Well, I'm basically concerned about the residents, what's being provided for our safety.
understood.
Because we don't know, these trains are running close to our homes, on the overpasses, down below, on the ground. So I just wanna know what safety precautions.
The safety precautions that are set in place for the city and the residents in our emergency operation plan for the city, as well as the county's plan, lay out the plans to help mitigate and, and protect property and lives. And that's what the plan does. That spells out how we respond to those emergencies, how we mitigate those emergencies, be it a hazmat situation, a technical rescue. But we have all those things in place here in Delaware County to mitigate that. We're not quite going to, I guess I'll say that we're not quite going to stop the trains from running, but we are going to prepare ourselves better to respond to these type of emergencies.
Okay, because as city council knows, I've been doing this for years. My concerns about the train, this is the first time I've ever heard of any kind of route or precaution. I've made over 200 phone calls to directly to CSX. Now, when you call them, it's Norfolk Southern. And I've seen the Norfolk Southern trains come through. And what they do is not complimentary to the residents. But I've complained and this is the first time I've ever heard of anything that was being done that I haven't done.
Well, I will tell you that we're constantly preparing for it.
What kind of communication are you prepared to send out to the residents so that we can feel safe?
We certainly can put up maybe a public informational thing that we could share maybe on our website, and we can work together with those rail partners to put something out to your residents. I don't want to cut that short in any way, shape, or form, but we as a city are here to protect all of you, and we need to prepare ourselves. A lot of lessons have been learned by the Ohio incident and these other incidents that are transpiring. So that being said, we're doing our due diligence to be more prepared, and we also, I value your opinion there, but we certainly will get more out to the residents so they can understand how we react, how we mitigate, and how you stay safe.
Okay, and do you suggest that each household have an emergency survival kit?
Well, we always want our folks to have an emergency plan for every household, as we do with all our commercial buildings, all our schools. That's something that we work tirelessly with our schools, our daycares. We certainly want everyone to have that. I mean, that's kind of one thing with our smoke detector program, that when we do come out and install smoke detectors for our residents, our fire prevention officer or those companies that come out and do that, they'll talk to you about an emergency plan, how you get out of the house, come up with a plan so all the folks that live there can exit safely.
Okay, but again, that's not talking about a derailment. You know how, I mean, everybody's aware of the fire safe, process. But a derailment, I mean, do you suggest
Understood.
that we have respirators or
No, I don't suggest that at this point, but I will bring more information back because every incident is different.
Exactly.
Every incident is different, and every incident that is different is going to dictate a different response from us, the residents, as well. But we will, I assure you, keep our residents up to speed. And I know this is a hot topic. I mean, we all watch the news every night, and we're plugged in too, as a first responder community, to be more prepared. And I will put that out to the residents so they can be more prepared as well.
And maybe think about the robocall for emergency.
That's something that the chief has spoke about too, is a better system in place to notify residents of emergencies. There are some platforms in place within the county, but it's not perfect yet. But that's something we are working as well.
Do we know what they're carrying through Chester on those trains?
They carry it. Yes, yes, yes.
Please.
And for us to get those, that paperwork, those MSDS sheets of what they're carrying on every load coming through every community they come through, that's something that we can gather if there is an incident. But there's a wide array of things that come through the town. You know, we have a railway here to our Riverside, and we have one up by the highway, and then a high-speed line. So I mean, we got it all here. So.
Can I just say they're not obligated to tell us what's in those cards? They're not obligated.
Oh, they're obligated to let us know what we have. Yes, they do. When we make a I can't comment on that. So I don't know their company code, but as a first responder, I can assure you that we will, during a response, be informed rapidly of what is being carried.
I just want to say thank you, and this is not new to me. I've been doing this for years, being concerned about these trains, and my whole thing is being proactive and not waiting for something that's going to happen. Like, we need to be prepared for when it happens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wade.
Okay, up next.
Ms. Brown?
Yes. My question is, you're aware of the train work that's going on in Chester, all the Amtrak's, the overhead. When we see things going on, we stop and ask these workers. Now, it was said that they are preparing, it's in other places, but coming through Chester to stack the trains. And to do this, we know in some areas, they're going to actually, they can't bring the train tracks up. So they're going to be digging the ground. So these trains, they're going to be heavy and they'll be able to go over these passes to support the weight. Are you aware of that?
No, Ms. Brown, that's information that we do not have.
Okay, then you should get out like
you-
we do
are
when we
you,
see them work and stop and ask them. Maybe that gentleman would know something about that.
Mr.
There-
Galante, have you heard anything about stacking of trains?
Yeah. Amtrak.
That was just the
Amtrak, yeah. Okay, and they're gonna be carrying the same stuff, you know, going right past residents' homes and everything. And even the workers' concern was about these trains tilting over because of the weight. Okay, and yeah, they're doing checking points. We know they're at Ingle Street, they were at Fourth and Ingle Street, and then go straight on through the Fifth Street, even up into Chichester. Okay, we stop and ask when we see something going on. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Welcome. Mr. Laws?
Hello, council and residents of Chester. Darren Laws, 719 Irvington Street, Chester, PA. I just want to make it our residents aware that a few of our council members and residents have been doing a couple great things with our students at Chester High School. I'm a dean of students at the high school. Just a couple weeks ago, we had a great conversational panel that was led by Councilwoman Liz Wim, with having conversations with police officers and reenacting the situations and everything like that. And the reason why we have our students engage in things like that, because you never know if they're put in a situation where they need to know how to have a conversation with a police officer, or vice versa, the police officer know how to have a conversation with the residents. You know, that's very important, because we see a lot of that that's going on, not just in Chester, but all over. So I wanted to commend Councilman Williams. The mayor came through the event. Students really engaged into that program, And one of the things that we try to do with our students, not just with city council, get them involved as many as programs, and not just myself, but you have another group of people out here that's doing great things for these students to understand that you have to make good choices and decisions along with if you're trying to go to college, if you're trying to get jobs, because employers are going to want to know what have you done, what are you doing, and a lot of times, to be honest with you, they don't expect our kids in the city of Chester to do things like that. So that's why it's so important. The other thing I wanted to share, 2 weeks ago, we took about 30 students on the HBCU tour. All of the students got accepted in basically 3 or 4 major universities or colleges. So our kids are doing some great things, but we still have to learn to work together and support one another. We may not agree, but we have to work together. Last week, I was in New Jersey and had a meeting with the March of Dimes, the head of the March of Dimes. The March of Dimes had agreed to partner up with our students from Chester High School and the residents of Chester High School down at the Naval Yard on April the 29th. Once again, we have our students participating in that to put on their resumes, to put on their job applications. So, I mean, that's what it's all about: working together, getting our kids, bringing in resources for jobs for people that live in this community, and helping, the seniors. 2 weeks ago, I've been meeting with the seniors over at Stanton Towers and Palmer House, and I don't even want to get into detail how that thing is going. But I thought it was important, like Council Morgan shared, use your voice, use your platform. And I'm not doing this to get in the paper or nothing like this. I'm doing this because we're not going to be here forever. And if we don't get our kids in the right track, it's a done deal. It's a done deal. So I want to thank you guys. Been working with them for years. Yeah, sometimes we're not going to be perfect. Sometimes they're going to mess up. But, you got to go to the drawing board because Tom Brady don't win the Super Bowl by himself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Laws.
Before we go to the next public comment, I just want to give Mr. Darren Laws his flowers. Now with that red blazer on, it's a lot of sea of red in here tonight. It is. I see the deltas. I see you. But Mr. Darren Laws has been doing a tremendous job in our community for some time now, for some years, and I always see him on social media or in the streets in the neighborhood, and he's always got the youth for male and or females by his side doing some great work as far as whether it's educational, whether it's recreational, showing them a different life and giving them the experiences that some of them may not have been able to get if it wasn't for you, for the work that you're doing. So just want to provide you with your roses while you're here. And there's a few others in here as well who has been doing a great job in our community. Corey Long and some others. I ain't gonna I won't name them all because I might forget somebody. But we need more of that. We need more of that, and don't quit. Don't stop. Our youth is our future. I'm a firm believer of that. I think I know we all are, and we all need to make sure that and challenge ourselves to find ways for us to give back and give back consistently for our youth. But thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Councilman. Ditto. Ms. Littleton?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good. I have a few questions. I'll ask all my questions rather. A couple more had came up. Just wanted to go back to one of the resolutions, the CETA board. I actually just happened to take a look at the website today and was looking at that board. Can you explain, is that a paid position board? And if so, how much is paid? And are she went kind of fast on that resolution. Is it the same members that are currently on the website who are still members of the CETA board in addition to the 3 tonight, or these 3 replacing those that are on that board? And just wanted to find out what that really entails. What are the responsibilities that comes with that board? My next question is kind of in relation to what the ladies were saying. I mentioned this before in previous council meetings when there are things that are happening here in the city of Chester, being, PennDOT doing work or SEPTA, is there anybody in the city that is communicating with these people to know what's going on so that we as residents can be informed to what's happening in our city? Lots of things have happened in our city before, with projects that are housed right on the border of residents in Chester City, and no one seems to know like what's happening. And I think that would be something that council and mayor should look at, basically to watch out for or protect, the residents here in Chester City, when it comes to issues and situations like that. So is there a communicator in the city that knows what's happening at all times when there's work, projects, or whatever going on in Chester City? And more importantly, able to inform us, the residents, so that we can be aware and stay safe during these particular situations. My next question is related to employment and positions. Can someone tell me what has determined the need for an assistant city solicitor? Um, it looks like the position amount has decreased. I'm not sure if the money has decreased on that city solicitor position, and if so, why? And again, what has determined the need for an additional assistant city solicitor? Um, and my last question is related to the IT position. That position, I wanted to find out who writes our city job descriptions, and that IT position seems to be very, it's has a large range of responsibilities. And looking at the income, it doesn't look like it really basically lines up with the responsibilities. I noticed that there is a third party information technology company who manages the city's information. Want to find out who that company is, if this is on a contract basis, how much are they getting? Is this a yearly contract? How much are we paying them? And if so, what is the need for this IT position? And also just to get some clarification, if this position, I don't know if whoever writes this, it's a wide range of stuff that they're asking for $50,000. And my last question related to employment is, does the city or anybody do a class compensation study on the job descriptions here? I'm noticing that a lot of the job responsibilities and duties, and comparing them, to nationwide, whatever. Some of the jobs are basically underpaid, and I don't know what is the reason for that. If we're looking for people to come in this city to work competently, who has the skills to do this, we got to pay them what they're worth. And so, what has been the reason why these jobs have been underclass, especially that IT position? That is my field, and I definitely would not take that for $55,000. Okay, that's a lot of worker responsibility. But has there been a class compensation study, and looking at the responsibilities and the incomes? I know that's a lot. I hope you guys got all those questions that can answer them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lowe.
Hmm.
Let me start off by saying, first of all, the CETA board, no board members are paid. That's not a paid board. I think we replaced one member on that board with Miss Amanda Johnson on the CETA board. You asked about, and the CETA board works on, Chester Economic Development Authority works on our economic development projects here in the city. They meet regularly, to talk about, discuss, and help us with our economic development in this community. Communicator in the city that knows what's happening at all times. No, there is not one. I wish we could know everything that's happening each and every moment of the day, but we don't. But we do have a competent fire chief and fire commissioner who basically oversee emergency management stuff that's going on in our city, and are able to provide us with information pertaining to our safety and our health. They've been doing a great job. Do we see everything? No, we don't. Are we going to miss some things? Yes, we are. Are they working diligently to make sure our citizenry are safe? Yes, they are. Assistant City Solicitor, I'm going to get you. The workload is tremendous. I see emails going back and forth to our city solicitor each and every day. The workload is tremendous. At one point in time, we had 3 solicitors, one main solicitor and 2 assistants. Now, and we also had a secretary in that office as well. We have 1 solicitor now who has to bear the workload of many. And so, yes, we are in desperate need of another solicitor. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when your question was who writes the job descriptions, that comes from our HR, and Mr. Leitner has been very helpful, and part of his job description is helping us with our job descriptions. Did I miss any?
I'll pick up. Yeah, I'll pick up on some things. Want to go back up real fast as far as communication. I think many of you know about our newsletter. Many of you know about our app that we're looking to find ways to revamp. But one thing that I want to add for more information, the residents can also sign up for Delco Alert at www.delco.gov. If you sign up for Delco Alert, you'll be able to receive emergency alerts. Alerts may vary, but you can receive emergency alerts from SEPTA and PennDOT, and sometimes they'll even provide alerts in regards to construction and road work. So one of our good friends that works out Delaware County made sure to send us over that, so you can sign up to for Delco Alert at www.delco.gov for more information on things that's going on here in the city of Chester. And when you sign up, they ask what municipality you're in as well. So you'll be able to put your specific municipality in, so you can only get alerts for the city of Chester. Our workers are most certainly overworked and underpaid here. Quite a bit of them. And we, Mayor and Council, Chief of Staff Leitner, have most certainly had conversations on how do we fully compensate our workers here in the city of Chester that provides the services to the residents. So as far as a class compensation study, I have not seen one, but I know that we are looking to come up with some type of a study and pay scale moving forward to get some of these employees on some better financial ground for the amount of work that they have to do. I would say all of the residents here are, all of the departments here, in my opinion, are very understaffed. At one point in Public Works Department, we had 50 plus employees in the Public Works Department maybe 20, 30 years ago. And then that was in some of other departments as well. So we're now in 2023 where we have maybe 20 plus, maybe 30, I guess, in that department. So again, many of the things that you said, Ms. Littleton, I think we, Mayor and Council, agree with many of the things you said as far as pay compensation and the amount of work that the employees are trying to get done with such little time.
Thank you.
IT. Current IT company that the city contracts out with is called Painless Technology out of I think they're in Media, PA. Currently, I'm a part of a selection and scoring committee with Chief Leitner as we are looking to do some improvements and upgrades with our IT software infrastructure here in the city of Chester. So there were some RFPs that were received as we look towards our next steps with IT here in the city of Chester. Sorry, go ahead. Off the top of my head, I don't know the current amount, but that's information, of course, I'll be able to provide. I don't have the entire amount. Definitely over on an annual basis. I would say at least over 100,000, probably close to 200,000. And that's for the management and software, Microsoft, different things like that. So,
thank you, Councilman. Ms. Ross.
Hello, City Council, Chester residents. My name is Cynthia Ross. I reside at 325 West Mallory Street in Chester, Pennsylvania. I had two questions. My first question was, um, as we all know, they're building a marijuana grow up like right by the Chester residence area, which across the street resides an elderly community, and then on the side and on the back reside Chester residents. I wanted to know why wasn't the Chester residents notified about the building that is taking place? We never was informed. We never were offered to go to any kind of meetings when it's right there in our backyards. And I was just wondering, did Upland Bureau let you guys know about it? And my other question was, with the revenue that's going to be coming in from that marijuana grow up, is Chester going to get some of that revenue, or what's going on with that revenue? And also, I had another question about the local wage city tax. Um, we all know that Chester doesn't have so many jobs, so a lot of the residents of Chester have to go outside to get employment. I was just wondering, why is the residents paying more tax than the outside workers coming in to work in Chester? They're paying like 2.0%. The residents are paying like 2.75%. And who is over Keystone? Because Keystone has garnished people's wages, um, did a lot of things, have lost people's information when they send it over. I know I work outside of Chester, so I know that I pay a higher percentage. I want to know, will the residents of Chester get their reimbursement back for paying more than what they were required to pay, or who's over that whole Keystone thing? And why would the residents be paying more than the people coming in to work?
Let me start up, and thank you for your questions, Ms. Ross. First of all, the grow facility up in Upland, yes, the Upland officials did indicate to us that they were building the facility. I wrote a letter personally to the Upland Borough Council members and to the president. I know the president personally, requesting that the residents in that area have an opportunity to talk to them about their concerns concerning that facility. Matter of fact, there was a gentleman and his wife who we walked to the facility together while they were building. We walked to the facility together. I shared with them that letter, and I said, please, 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 share this with the rest of your community, and make sure you go to the council meeting to address your concerns. Said that on that night, and as a matter of fact, the president of council was quite taken aback by my letter. Was a little upset. None of the residents, and I met with the residents right there in the community in that area personally. I stood there in that community. I said, please go to the council meeting and address council. None of them did. Not one. But I'm just telling you what I did. You asked me a question, and I'm just telling you exactly what I did. That's number one. Number two, does the city of Chester get any of that revenue? No. No. You talked about jobs. Let me just say this. We encourage all of our folks here in the city. We encourage them. There are job opportunities here, and we want them to be gainfully employed right here in the city of Chester. We want them to be trained and prepared to take those jobs right here in the city of Chester. Excuse me. And a couple of things that we do on an annual basis, we have the Explorers program that's run by our firefighters, by our fire men and women. We encourage our young people to get involved in the Explorers program so that hopefully one day that'll become a career. We want our young people to become law enforcement personnel right here in the city of Chester. Matter of fact, we just went through the process of taking applications from persons. I think we had a few Chester residents that came in and applied for law enforcement opportunities. We want to see them here in our community doing that, being a part of our law enforcement personnel. There are, you might see on our website, jobs right here in City Hall. No matter if it's 55,000, 65,000, 75,000, there are job opportunities that you'll see posted. And we want our folks, we are fighting every day. Every day. You heard the councilwoman just say, and you heard the councilman just say, how important it is for our residents, the Chester residents, to get these jobs here that are presented in our community. So we're always posting them on our TV channel. There's the charter schools. They're hiring every single day. They need educators and they need assistance to those educators to help work with our young people. So these folks they're hiring, and we want our folks to get these jobs. And finally, there's a company right across the street called Penn Home Healthcare. Healthcare is the biggest growing industry in the Commonwealth. Biggest where folks can actually take care of their loved ones. They can actually stay home, take care of their loved ones, and get paid a nice wage, and they get benefits. And so these opportunities are out there, and we encourage every resident to take advantage of these opportunities and more. I think I covered everything. Thank you. Ms. Shelton? Y'all push Ms. Shelton up.
Just
wait a minute, Ms. Shelton.
Just one comment about the Upland.
Oh, before
Upland facility.
Also the post office just did a job fair. I think it was a 2-day job fair right downtown Chester. Big signs out front encouraging folks, come in and get these post office jobs just now. That was the second part of your question. You did say something about jobs. So I'm gonna let the councilman, but that was the second part.
It's state law. It's state law, Act 511, where the residents' EIT or earned income tax rate has to be higher than the non-residents. We also have a distressed pension tax of 1% for non-residents that goes directly to the pension to assist with our, I guess, underfunded pension as well, but it's state law. And as far as revenue, the mayor's correct. We won't get any real estate revenue. The hopes is that our residents will be able to get those job opportunities, and we'll be able to get earned income tax money because they are residents who are earning wages. So,
just to follow up for the Upland facility, it is an Upland, as the mayor stated, that we didn't have much control over that. We have worked with the borough of Upland though, from an emergency response standpoint, emergency management standpoint. They have provided us with a gate off Elkington Avenue, so we can make access there if they do have an emergency, as well as an additional fire department connection on that building. So they have worked with us a little bit, as much as after we urged them for that. And just to follow up to the Explorer program is off the ground and running. We probably have 5 instructors from our firefighting force. Today was a meeting. We have another one on the 22nd. Mr. Laws is promising me he's got a group coming over. We can take some more. We have 6 solid. We would like to get to 20. So that'll be at 3:30 on the 22nd. We'll put some more out on it, but we are still struggling to get some more kids involved. And like I said, the mayor said we had a test here last time. We had the opportunity to bring firefighters on, and I believe we only had 1 applicant, correct, Mayor, from the city. So we need to do better, and that this program will help with that. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Shelton? Mr. Lightner pushing you around.
All right. My name is Dolores Shelton, and I live on East 18th Street, 138. And I'm haven't been able to get to city council meetings like I used to. Every one, they were in the morning. Now that I'm old, it's hard to get up early. But anyway, I'm here tonight. And first of all, before I say anything, I want to recognize and to thank the Greeks for coming out. I see lots and lots of red and white, Delta Sigma Theta, and I'm sure there's others like Q's and others are here. But Greeks, just kind of wave your hand or let us know that you're here. Now, this was not part of my presentation, but let me tell you about the Greeks. They want to be involved, Divine Nine. They want to be involved in all the activities in the city. We're also going around to all the boroughs and visiting their meetings, the borough council meetings. But please feel free to contact any Greek that you know that you want something done or involve them. They want to be involved and they're not asking for an $80,000 paycheck. So use them, use them. And another thing, I can speak for the Deltas, but all the Greeks. If you go on their website, look up scholarships. Parents, look up scholarships. And they have scholarships. And if they're like us, we got money and no children. So we need children. And if the kids don't get involved, you got to push them. You got to push these kids and teach your children to write. They got to learn how to write a paragraph or two. So please do that. Parents, please push. And we want to make our organizations more active in what's going on. Thank you very much. Now, I want to know about this Santander Bank. Where is it?
Ms. Shaw, if there are many places, the most probably closest one, and I believe is in Trainer, Marcus Hook. That's the closest one I would think. Yes.
Oh, I have to go down and check that out, see what they're paying for savings accounts and, short term, but I'll check them out. But anyway, is this a new bank that we're connecting with, or have we always been connected with them?
We've had Santander Bank has been our bank for a few years now. The resolution was to update the signers on the bank account.
Very good. Now, I didn't recognize no names. Were they Chester? Anybody from Chester a signer?
Well, I don't have it in front of me right now, but they're all employees in the finance department.
Mr. Roots, are there anybody from Chester? Signer? Okay, don't answer me. That's okay. All right, let's go on. Oh yeah, I was right here with Mr. Roots. You don't seem to. Oh, good. Okay, good. And you seem to pass not to agree to the expenses. And I know when I was here before, you said they didn't come past your desk. But I thought that the team was making sure that you got them early enough so that you can review them. So it was just because of those two things tonight is why you didn't agree to pass the expenditures.
What two things are those?
Now, you know I'm old. I can't remember so long. But, it was a truck that you want to know exactly what they did to it. And the other was, no, I forgot.
Ms. Shaw, let me just jump in.
Okay.
I was given an example of some of the questions that was asked. I can't say why Mr. Roots did not, but it wasn't, he just asked a few questions.
Okay.
So I was just giving the public an example of some of the answers that were provided and or the questions.
That's fine, and we appreciate that. And now we also got a little better understanding of what's in there. And so it was good that you tried to. In fact, I congratulate everybody up here, including our mayor. When the young lady went down, I know she had 10, 15 questions. And you know what? I was impressed that he had written down, notes to bring back and answer those questions. I appreciate that. I appreciate your questions because they were good questions. And I really appreciate that you were able, with a deputy mayor over there, was able to answer those questions. This is a very good council meeting tonight, and I am thoroughly, thoroughly,
Thank you, Michelle.
thoroughly enjoying this meeting. I want to know from a health lady. Now, I've had
You're running out of time, Michelle.
I know, I'm going fast. I've had all my shots, I think. I've had 2 COVIDs, 3 boosters. Now, is there another booster that I need to get? I've had 3 and 2 5. Okay, well, let me know when there's another one because I'm ready.
You and Rosetta can have that conversation in our office.
Okay, well, fine. I want everybody else to know that too. Okay, and this one I wrote emergency. We used to have emergency training here in Chester. I know the Deltas used to go, but I hope we get that back. We went to Chester High and we had to go through lines and give out this and go to the next line. So we need to have that again. But we thank you and we thank the council, and it's a good meeting.
Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. Ms. Smith.
Okay. I guess there were statements made, and I just want to put it out there. Are we ready for the next generation? Is the generation that's coming after us ready to take these positions in order for them to be in leadership? Transportation dollars. Do we have money to improve some of these lumpy streets, especially Melrose Avenue? If you come down Melrose, somebody left their mask, I don't know who it was. Okay. If you come down Melrose Avenue, right between 20th and 21st Street, is there any money allocated for that now? Because I've asked that for some time. So.
Yes, we've been working with our streets department and our engineer. We have a plan, a streets plan put together for this year. We had one put together for last year. We're unable to implement it, but this year we hope we're going to implement our streets plan, and we've got the plan together as we speak.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you because you'll be prepared because I'm going to ask about the expenditure list. Councilman Roos, you didn't get a chance to look at the list, and that's why you voted no again. Last time you said it didn't come enough time to you to look at it. I thought by now that y'all would be getting the information that you could get it so you could do what you need to do to agree with what's on the expenditure list. So have you received it in enough time now?
Yes.
Okay, but it's just some items on there you just didn't like.
Didn't like.
Well, you voted no.
Did you hear Councilman Morgan say that I submitted a list of questions that he responded to?
Okay. But I'm asking you voted no because there was something still missing on what you asked.
Correct.
Okay, that's what I was just asking, just to be clear.
Okay.
So please take time now. Now, word on the street. Well, if you're here, like I said, you'll be able to get the information. Are you taking a leave of absence in order to be more productive? Because I've seen you around here more than I have before. So you taking a leave from your job in order to make sure you're here to do the business of the citizens in Chester?
Well, once we get a time clock, you'll know exactly when I'm here and when I'm not here.
Well, I don't need a time clock.
Well, you're following me? You're spying on me? What are you saying?
What I said.
No, you said you know when I'm here and when I'm not here.
Yeah, I do. Because I'm not spy. I come over here for business. I pay my taxes. I do other things that I need to do. I talk to different people. I'm just asking.
My job as a city council person is to serve the people of the city, whether I do it here, in the streets, in my car, in my bedroom.
Oh, no.
Doesn't matter.
Not your bedroom. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms.
Are
Smith.
we ready for the next generation?
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Ms. Mayfield?
Once again, my name is Lee Mayfield. I'm the chair of Chester Residents Concerned with Quality Living. I just want to follow up on a couple of statements that I heard tonight. Um, I think that what Ms. Waits was asking, is there a mechanism if and or when a derailment or a disaster would happen in our community, what plans do the leadership, the government have? What mechanism do you have that you would notify the community that there is an emergency? I think that recent events is teaching us that we need to be prepared. There has to be an evacuation plan. There has to be a siren or a text. There has to be some way to move our community out of harm's way. The events in Palestine, Ohio have showed us, because they had all of those things, and the residents could not get out. They could not breathe. They could not drink the water. They are still suffering. Some of them still have not gone back to their homes. There are 4 active train lines that run through Chester. You have the front tracks, the back tracks. You have 6th Street, and you have up by 12th Street. And a lot of those trains carry the same components that the trains in Ohio that have recently derailed. They've had 3 derailments in the last 2 months that we know of, because we know what's happened is once there's one train derailment, then the media is focused on that issue. So we are very concerned, and rightfully so. And once again, understand what the fire department is doing, but as it's been shown, you guys are not even equipped to deal with an emergency such as that. I remember years ago when they had a train derailment up on 6th Street, 6th and Ingle. You know, we have suffered from the Wade dump fire. And many of those first responders, the Red Cross people, the police officers, the fire department, the volunteers that showed up, all of those entities, the people that worked that fire had suffered tremendously. Tremendously. And it put Chester on the map as the first Superfund site in the nation. I'm tired of us being first for that type of foolishness. So we know our history, and if we don't deal with it, history will bear again. So that's the one issue that I wanted to deal with. I appreciate what the Commissioner Rigby said, but I know that right now, all of the surrounding fire companies are suffering. They don't have the proper equipment. The only one that's professional is Chester's. And when we're responding up the upland, who's paying for that? Who pays for that gas to move our truck up in the upland if they have an emergency? And I know you're in the grid and you have to go, but we are a cash-strapped city, and every dollar counts. So one other issue that I wanted to bring up. I noticed that the parking areas here, on this side, one side, Candlewood rents it out. On this side, the Subaru Philadelphia Union, we can't use that if they have a game, it's used for them. So what compensation is the city receiving, and where does it show up in the budget that that money's coming in here? So I'm going to leave it at that.
Thank you, Ms. Mayfield. Let me start off from the beginning, the plan of action. Unfortunately, things begin to get put in place after a disaster. That's an unfortunate situation. I think everybody in every community, in every state, is now learning from the disaster in Ohio. And so they know that they, along with their first responders, have to come up with a plan that will keep their residents as safe as possible. And so we have in place the good thing, the great thing that we have here in the city is we have a commissioner and a police, both commissioners who work very closely with Delaware County and their first responders in helping us to prepare a plan. Do we have everything completely in place? No, because this is something that's fresh and just happened. And so our hope is that we will make sure that we have everything we need in order to inform the residents, in order to protect the residents, in order to evacuate the residents and place them in a safe environment if needed. So once again, unfortunately, it's an unfortunate thing when you have such a tragic situation as was in Ohio. But at the same instance, it puts every other community on alert so that they might have mechanisms in place. Are we working on those things? Yes.
Do you have a scheduled time when you will have a program or a system in place that you can do residential notification in the event of an emergency?
We're working with our commissioner to make sure that we have things in place. And so that's something that we're working with our commissioner. All right. The second thing you mentioned the Wade fire, the fire. That's something that happened decades ago, and we learned from that. I would hope that we have learned from that about.
That's why we should already have a warning system. If we learned.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just a, no. Let me finish. She don't finish. Thank you. Councilman Williams? You good? Councilman Roots?
Yeah, I got a few things. First of all, thank all of you for coming out this evening. You asked for evening meetings, and I've said in the past that I haven't seen much more attendance in the evening than I've seen during the day, but tonight you proved me wrong, so I love it. One of the terms I heard tonight was the workload here amongst our city employees is tremendous. That couldn't be further than, no, that is the absolute truth. I don't want to say that wrong. I want to give a special shout out, if you will, to our Public Works Department. Many of those guys who you see around the city cutting grass. During this time of the season when the grass isn't growing, their primary responsibility is to pick up the illegal dumping around the city. And that's pretty much all they do. Anything that they pick up, it seems like you pick up one and someone's dumped two more. They usually are focused on certain areas of the city and they work their way around. For those of you who may have complained that they haven't picked up the pile that you've identified, believe me, they're going to get to it. So I just want to give you guys all the credit in the world because this time of the year, you can get a lot more of this illegal dumping that is scattered around the city, making our city look terrible. The L&I department, you guys are swamped out there trying to get to inspections, trying to do the paperwork that is associated with those inspections. The two ladies at the front desk are constantly barraged with people. We have a lot of developers who are coming into town, buying our properties at very low rates and redeveloping them and requiring, inspections and sometimes re-inspections, third-time inspections. It's a lot of work. I recognize the work that you guys are doing. Congratulations there. I was a little disappointed that we didn't get the resolution through for the Deputy Director of Inspections. It seems like the person was well qualified. We, wherever we can find them, we want the best and the brightest working here in the city. So hopefully we can have a do-over on that. A little disappointed about not approving a parking RFP for the reasons that the mayor had stated, that we have people parking all over the place right now. The only way that we're going to correct that is to restudy it, put another program in place. The contracts that we've had in the past, one of them was void by our Commonwealth judge and the other one by the federal judge in bankruptcy court. So we have to start over, and the starting over point is an RFP for a study. And as an engineer who's worked most of my engineering days in the industrial environments, safety has always been a big deal with the type of work that I've done. And long before I got here, I've always been concerned about the trains coming through Chester. Fortunately, the trains that carry the most explosive stuff is coming down on Front Street, and they travel at a very low rate of speed. Unlike what you saw in Ohio, those guys were flying and they flew off the tracks. So that's a sort of a safety precaution in itself, but that's not to mitigate the fact that there's some dangerous stuff flowing between the refineries and Eddystone on a daily basis, several times a day. Living here in Chester, it's an industrial town, so many of these businesses have a lot of materials in their businesses that we have to understand, recognize, and be ready to deal with, so we don't have another Wade dump site surprise. We're right near the airport. It wouldn't be too crazy for a plane to be 5 miles short and fall in the river or in the city. We have to be prepared for that. On the river, there's boats that come up and down with just as dangerous materials that go to the refinery or wherever they're going to. We have to be prepared for that. I-95, thousands of vehicles up and down the highway every day. We have to be prepared for that. And what we don't see is underground. There's a bunch of huge pipes, high pressure, dangerous materials flowing through our town every day. We have to be prepared for that. And we've got some industries that are over 100 years old that have been repurposed many, many times. They're very prone to human error or just mechanical failure. We have to be prepared for that. The biggest irony of all this is that just this afternoon, I was sitting in Commissioner Rigby's office talking about the emergency management plan. He showed me the new plan. We've all been invited to take classes so that we can qualify for, all the new regulations. It is a focus of what we're doing right here in City Hall. The disaster that happened in Ohio, certainly, as the mayor said, has woken up a lot of communities like ours that host those dangerous, conditions. So Commissioner Rigby isn't one for public speaking, but I'm telling you, he's one of the best at what we have here with regard to emergency management. He's well regarded in the county. He's got a plan here for the city. A lot of the stuff that's in the plan itself addresses some of the concerns you people had, like how would we communicate emergencies out? And if there's a major emergency, as we've seen in Ohio, the Chester Fire Department couldn't handle it on its own. That's what an emergency management plan is all about. It's how to muster in other agencies and other organizations that can help us all the way up to the federal level, which is called FEMA. So all of us have reason for concern with emergency management, and believe me, we're going to do a better job breaking down that huge manual that is our emergency management plan that gets updated every year. I think we owe it to you to communicate what's in it and how it works and how you can be engaged with it. It would be great to have an emergency management committee of people really concerned about emergency management. That would be the fire people, a council person, people from the community. That's a big deal. One of the things that happened in Turkey, if you remember not too long ago, was that big earthquake. And I just remember watching the news, and the comment kind of came out tonight. And it was sort of what the mayor said, but it was a lot of those developers were building buildings that couldn't withstand earthquakes, and they were arresting them, catching them before they left the country. And one of the reporters says, this is the time when you see how your municipality or your government has prepared for an emergency, and it's the absolute wrong time. So, we're going to take lessons from Turkey. We're going to take lessons from Ohio, and we're going to take lessons from our own emergencies that we've had here. And we are going to listen to you guys. We really owe you an explanation. We have to feel safe in this town. We are sitting on some very dangerous stuff. It's an industrial town. We have to respect it. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman, for thanking my department for the work that they do. I too feel very proud of them and am am very grateful for what they do for the citizens of Chester. It's a never-ending situation when it comes to the trash. I'd like to ask again the community to really assist us, with the collection of trash. You see something in your yard or on the street in front of your house, then we should be cleaning it up. So I'm asking for support from the community as well as we continue to struggle to clean up those dump sites, illegal dump sites, and what have you. Bonnie Waits is my friend, and I think about her every day down at by the railroad track. You go out of her house and take 5 steps, she's right there at the railroad track. So it is a concern of mine as well, what's going along the track and an emergency management plan because when the thing in Ohio happened, I thought about you and wondered, what would Bonnie be able to do if something happened? So it's something that we do need to look at and address, and I'm sure we will. There are plans already in place. Um, I want to thank everybody for coming out. It's so nice to see you all out. And that's about it. Oh, I just wanted to say, too, I do have a concern that a lot of the people who are being hired, I know we have some competent, talented people in Chester, and I just wonder how hard do we look in-house or in the city for our talent so that some of these jobs that are now coming up, that we would be able to fill them with our people from Chester, the people who live here, work here, play here, and have been contributing to the community for years. I'm concerned about you. I'm concerned about the talent that we have in-house and rewarding them when we can. So there's an upward mobility program that I have in my department where, I tell people who, if they start out with the street staff, this is not the end all job. You can do other things. I have about 3 or 4 people who are now going on to get their CDLs so that they can get other employment or advance here in the city when those monetary gifts appear, hopefully, and we'll be able to compensate them for their worth. So that's all I have to say. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. No,
I forgot to mention, which is very important, because I see a lot of women here this evening. And this month is Women History Month. So I would like to see every woman give yourself a hand clap. Because women are the heartbeat of a community.
thank you, Ms. Carter. Councilman?
Yeah. So, members of the public, it's that time of the year again for property owners, homeowners to pay your real estate taxes. Yeah. Well, I got to remind you. So some tax bills went out last week. More has went out this week, and we should be wrapping up all the mailings hopefully by the end of next week. Just so you all aware, April 3rd, you could pay your taxes here at the City of Chester or online on our website at www.chestercity.com, and you can make an online payment with your debit or credit card and or your bank account. Putting in your information. It's very secured. April 30th, if you want to pay and get the discount, you have to pay by April 30th of this year. If you can't pay and make the discount, the face value amount will be, well, you can pay the face value up until June 30th. And after June 30th, there is a penalty assessed on that tax payment for 2023, and you can pay that up until February 15th of 2024. But don't wait that long. Come in, take advantage of the discount. And again, you can either pay it by coming into Chester City Hall. We are not taking cash, but check, money order, and or again, you can pay online in your own convenience in your living room while you're eating your breakfast tomorrow. Just go on our website at www.chestercity.com to make your 2023 tax payment and just knock it out, get it out the way. Job postings. You know, we talk a lot about employment opportunities and employing our residents here in the city of Chester. Continue to look on our website, on our social media pages for job postings. I think maybe this week we might have posted one or two positions. Maybe last week we might have posted one as well. So, but there are a few positions that we are looking for here in the city of Chester. One is in human resources. I'm drawing a blank on some of the others, but again, on our website, there's a tab for jobs. You can go onto the website, look at the job description, and you can apply on the website and or see it on our social media platform, particularly specifically Facebook, where you can do that as well. The last thing I'll mention, I'll say we're kind of in the early stages, but working with the health department and some members within the community, we're trying to put together an autism walk here in the city of Chester. We have a pretty sizable population of autistic individuals, kids and adults, and I have someone in my family who's autistic as well. And I was a part of the autism walk for roughly 5 years when I was in college, and I know that we should do something and celebrate those individuals and provide more information and resources for those families that have autistic individuals within the family. So right now the date is April 23rd. April 23rd, we're going to have a autism walk. So if you, again, know anybody, please share the word. We'll be getting some flyers and more information out soon about that with some of our health partners and vendors that'll be a part of that. So again, there'll be an autism walk in April 23rd, which is a Sunday. It'll be after church, roughly in the afternoon. So just thank you to the health department, Ms. Carter, individuals within the community, Fred Green, Nasir Leach, Ms. Stephanie Hall, who've also been a part of some of the meetings that we've had and a few meetings that we have upcoming. And I thank you for Councilman Root and Councilman West for shouting out their department. I definitely need to give a shout out to my department. We have in the finance department have about 15 individuals. I want to say them all by name, but they'll probably come after me tomorrow, so I won't do that. But they do a tremendous job with the resources that they have. So I thank them for all the work that they do between the 9 to 4:30 of the hours that City Hall is open, and between the 4:30 and however long they end up going to sleep when they're home, because they work from home or after hours, even when they have to take care of their family. So shout out to the finance department and human resource department for really trying to keep the city afloat and assisting all of the active employees and retirees for their business. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Let me just end it by saying same thing. First of all, thank you all for being here tonight. When we hear from our constituency and our community, you become our eyes and our ears. We are not omnipresent, but there's some situations and some problems and some good things that are happening throughout our communities that you can share with us. And by sharing that with us, we can either correct them or add to those good things that are happening. So we appreciate each and every one of you being here tonight. I want to say this. All of the employees here in City Hall and outside of City Hall, all of our Chester employees, do a yeoman's job. They work hard. They work hard. And we appreciate all the hard work they do. Just today, well, before I get there, just today, and even our council persons work hard. Just today, we were standing here talking, myself and Councilman Morgan and Councilwoman Williams. We were standing right in this room. We were talking, and I was looking out the window at the same time. And two older gentlemen one of them got out of the car and dropped all this McDonald's stuff and everything out the car, right out this window. We stood here, we stood here, we stood here, and finally I said, nah, no, no. So all three of us went out to confront the two gentlemen. Councilman Morgan stood in front of the car like a police officer.
It wasn't like that.
I stood on this side. The gentleman said, and we confronted them, and we said to them, you threw the trash out of the car. He said, no, I didn't. He said, we're looking at you throw the trash out the car. He said, no, I didn't. Councilman Morgan said, so you mean to tell me our cameras did not see you throw the trash out the car? He said, I didn't throw any trash out. And he went around the corner while they're taking his license plate number. He came back around the corner and he said, I'm sorry, it fell out when I got out. I just want you to know, we take the cleanliness of this city seriously, even if it means jumping in front of a car to make sure the individual doesn't go anywhere. I also want to say this. When I say hard workers, I appreciate the work of folks in this building and outside this building, because they've had to deal with their own personal challenges. Challenges like cancer, life-threatening cancer. Both Rosetta Carter and Mr. Collins. And they still did their jobs. They come to work when they feel good. They come to work when they don't feel good. And they do their jobs. We have some excellent persons here. This is nothing against anyone else who is trying to find employment in the city of Chester. But when we have the talent that we have in this city, we got to learn how to utilize it. Not too many folks are going to go through what they've gone through and then turn around and say, okay, I'm going to work today. Not too many folks are going to do that. So I wanted them to, Gary was out the door. I know his wife probably said, it's time to go. You can tell a wife, time to, but I wanted them to come back because I wanted them to hear that. Sometimes you got to let people know that you appreciate them, because when you let them know you appreciate them, they might even work a little harder. So I wanted them to know that we appreciate you. Appreciate you. The other thing is the parking. I voted the way I voted on the parking because of this. You know, we put a parking system in place, had a parking management team here in place. It was said that I might have missed a step. And I may have. Bottom line is, I knew that we needed parking in our community that no one was really tackling. No one. The holdup with our parking situation was the court situation with Widener University. Now, I don't know how many people were in court for 4 years trying to decide if the street belongs to the university or the street belongs to the city. 4 years. 4 years holding the city back. That's a fact. And that's what I deal in. Facts. That's where it all got hung up. I have no problem with modifying to say, you know what, you missed a step. You got to add this. You got to do this so that we can make it better because it was already in place. But then when it becomes politicized, and now I'm supposed to go back and I'm supposed to vote on the parking, and then folks say, oh, you got rid of it, but now you're bringing it back. And you're bringing it back because that's who they're going to look at. You're bringing it back. I can't do that. Sure, I want to make sure that we generate revenue down here. Sure, I want to make sure that the folks in Nova Vista and the folks over there by Crozier and the folks in Sun Hill have adequate and decent parking in their neighborhoods. That's what I wanted to happen in the very first place. And so now I'm being asked, let's go back and do it again. I can't do that without some insurances. When those insurances are in place, then I'll work on that. I'll work on that. I get tired of seeing all these cars parked down here. Delaware tags and everybody else's tags. Stop down one day. Where else do you have more cars than you have people? More cars than my turn, man. My turn. More cars than you have people. And it's not fair. So when we are willing to work things out for all of our citizens, I'll be there. The other thing, the last thing, on the last week, starting at Monday, the last week of this month, we'll be doing a citywide cleanup. And our citywide cleanup will last for 1 week. With our guys, our guys have already started the process. Some of you may have been on the east side of town, 10th and Walnut Streets, where folks were simply just dumping. And the guys are there cleaning it up. Now we might have to make sure we have some eyes and cameras over there because they're going to come back. And that's sad. We can't do this by ourselves. But we'll be out there the entire week, the last week in March, working with our men, cleaning up our city. And we need your help. Not just, there's some places where folks can just simply sweep up. Now, I'll keep it real, keep it 100. I'm about tired of going up and down Edgemont over there by the Sunoco because folks sit on their porch and sit with trash sitting right in front of them. It's a mindset that has to change about cleanliness. And so I want to, once again, thank all of you for being here tonight. Please feel free to always come as often as you can to the Deltas. Have a good night. This meeting is now adjourned. Oh,
Some companies, unless it's a certain level.
Yes, then those